Here we are again, my friends, in another song we didn't expect to sing with the marker in my hand. What will today's show bring? At least we got a rhyme in there. At least we got a rhyme. Welcome back to the show. Hi, it's Jeremy, the Heart Trooper number 7, and you're watching Jeremy Knows. We have a special episode. I don't have a dynamic background, but you might see peering over the image here the VaynerSports Pass. This is going to be the first VaynerSports Pass dedicated episode, which is so fun because there's so much overlap in the community. And I have a true expert. I understand if some people are shy about calling themselves an expert. I really, as much as I feel like I'm as expert an expert can be in VFriends, and I would say the same for Josh. I see him on a weekly basis, holding huddles with the entire community, being there, working directly with the team, publishing blogs. Like, if you're interested in VaynerSports Pass, this is the guy to know. So I'm really happy to have him on the show. And we're going to talk about the project, what they're doing right now with the black card auctions, and then we'll let the conversation run wild. So please give a rousing Jeremy Knows welcome for NFT LoverBoy. What's up, bud?
Appreciate that really nice intro. That means a lot, and it's just good to be here talking to you on VaynerSports Pass.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we exactly dive into VaynerSports Pass, let's get a little bit of context on you. Were you in VaynerSports Pass on Mint Day? Did you watch all the madness and even give people a little bit of context of how long you've been in the NFT space?
For sure. Yeah. So the VaynerSports Pass, I believe it came on the day of Series 2, like the raffle results.
Yeah.
For VFriends Series 2 raffle results. And so Gary in the comments said, try to have like 0.15 ETH or 0.2 ETH around.
What a crazy day that was.
Right. Yeah. What a crazy day that was. Right. And so I was like, okay, whatever, I'll see what's happening. And then the way VaynerSports Pass started initially was it was supposed to be a stealth mint. It didn't work out like it did. Crazy gas war. I didn't have enough ETH. So I'm just trying to hopefully wait for gas to go lower, try to mint something. By the time gas came down, minted out. So I missed out. But I was like, I'm a big sports fan. I like basketball a lot. From Toronto, as you can see in the background, CN Tower.
Oh,
so
nice.
Toronto Raptors are my team. And so I was like, the whole premise of the project, and we can go into it deeper, but it's, they have raffles for sports events. And I was like, it'd be cool to go to a basketball game. Raptors game would be awesome. But, any basketball game would be, cool. And it's a raffle. I know I'm not going to for sure win, but I was like, at least they're bringing some kind of different utility. And then I'm like, it's AJ Vaynerchuk, Gary and him. And
he's an operator you can bet on.
Yeah,
for sure.
Exactly. Right.
No, he's going to be here.
Right. So that was the biggest thing and then even kind of touching my background. So I came into NFTs through VFriends, been following Gary for a long time, listened to his content. I wouldn't say all his content because he puts out a shit ton, but try to catch as much as I can. And he's talking about NFTs before the VFriends launch. And I was like, let me learn about this. I kind of dabbled in crypto very slightly before NFTs, but more or less like I just could buy certain cryptocurrencies and kind of make my way onto different chains. So, didn't really have any NFTs. Gary's talking about the VFriends, how it gets you access to a conference, listen to a bunch of his podcasts. And I was like, Gary's never really asked for anything. Let me just buy this and see what it is. Right. And that kind of just led down. And I'm sure like you and a lot of other people led down the rabbit hole of like, holy shit, NFTs, Web3, it's crazy, right?
Mm-hmm. I actually remember having the same thought that at first I felt like I was doing Gary a favor by supporting his project. Because you're right. It was it felt like the first real ask that he'd ever made.
Yeah. Cause obviously he's always sells, wine and other things, but I'm like, okay,
shoes, but
that's that aligns with, in a sense, his business. And I'm like, this time it's like, he's asking for something. And in a sense, I know what I was getting at the time. I was like, these pictures, I was like, I'm going to a conference. That's all I know. Right. But then I think just, Gary says it, being curious, being open-minded, it just, having that outlook on certain things, it just brings you to a place where it's like, you can think about it yourself and make your own judgment. And yeah, I just stuck into the NFT line ever since.
For sure. Well, to bring it around to VaynerSports Pass a little bit, I sometimes I assume people know things that that they may not. So before VFriends, Gary V was operating multiple businesses under his umbrella VaynerX and VaynerMedia. And in that VaynerX umbrella, well before VaynerSports Pass, was simply VaynerSports, which is an agency that started with football, but now they've moved on to baseball and I think a couple of other sports.
Yeah.
And so this pass is an extension of that company, which has been in operation for at least 3, maybe 4 years. I know they were really going hard Super Bowl 2019. And so now they're building a community of sports fans specifically around each of these sports. And I want to just show people really quickly so they have an idea. The passes themselves look like cards, like almost like a credit card style shape. And they have icons relative to the different sports in the collection. So you've got hockey, tennis, golf, volleyball, soccer, basketball, football, MMA, esports, and baseball. And like any NFT collection, there's some quirks, there's some rarity, there's some without any of the icons, which are the most powerful and the most rare. And there's some that actually have the spectacular background from VFriends. They have bubblegum, diamond, hologram, gold, and lava. And something that's really fun because this came out on the Friends List Day, they actually have green as a card separated in rarity far from purple, the other color before it, and kind of an indication that we were going to eventually get emerald, which I think is just a fun detail because Gary said that although he's promoted many other NFT projects, might be consulting or on the board of certain projects, VaynerSports Pass is the only other project outside of VFriends that he's really, truly a part of. And so I mentioned that the spectaculars are sort of special, that the blank card is the most powerful, but that's no longer the case. Or maybe that's arguable, right? Because they have different specialities. But one of the reasons I want to have you on is to talk about the black card auction because it's a little complicated. It took me a minute to wrap my head around it, the math and everything involved. But can you give people a breakdown of like what is the black card and what's unique about how you can actually get it?
Yeah. So great intro, kind of going over VSP, and like Jeremy was saying, each icon it allows you to enter that appropriate raffle. So if there's a soccer raffle and you have the soccer icon, you can enter into that raffle. So yeah, just going into black card. So basically, black card is a new VaynerSports NFT, and the only way to actually obtain one is by burning your VSPs. And so that's where it comes in. The point system you were talking about. There's a graphic of the point system kind of laid out, and I could probably get that link to you after, Jeremy. But essentially, the more points you have, the better your chances are. There you go. Perfect. Yeah. The more so the more points you have, the better chance you have of getting a black card. Right. So it's broken down here: green, spectaculars, bases. And so even if so black card in general, I'll just say it's a total of 70 collection. That's the max supply. And the main utility is really airdrops. That's the benefit it has. It also allows you to be in any raffles. And then some other benefits are on partner mints. But the main thing is the airdrop aspect. And we've already seen airdrops been given out. So the number 1 black card, they received the Moonbird. Number 5 received Gary the Goo VFriend, the 555 fan.
I saw that. This happened today.
That happened today. So that was a pretty big. So you probably go to the VS Pass Twitter.
Oh yeah, I'm looking for that graphic that has the distinctions between the two, like all of them. There's like here's the airdrop of the 5555 go.
Yeah, and so that was just given just to add on to that was just given to the 5th place winner. Just airdrop to them, kind of as built into the utility for the black card.
Let's give people a little indication on like what these passes, what were the bids like? Because the basic score on a card is 5. The maximum score is 15. Sorry, I'm just looking for that graphic.
Yeah.
But what was black card number one actually sold for?
So you see, like, it's hard to put the exact ETH price because
Right.
it's in points, but it was over 139, 130 VSPs, and I think around average, depending on when the person got it, it was around 25 ETH. You can kind of estimate it to that
Around
part.
25 ETH for the first
For
10.
that was for the first
The
one.
first one.
For the first one, yeah. So
And what was that first airdrop that they got? It was a
they got a
moon.
Moonbird. Yeah.
Well, that's
That's
60%
that.
of your
Yeah,
bag.
12 to 13 ETH. And
Okay.
so
Yeah.
another, yeah. So I can share my in like the blog in the medium I write, and I'll send that to you over Twitter. It has a graphic what you're looking for.
Okay, great.
So I'll just shoot that over to you so you can post that up. People can see it.
Perfect. And I am going to copy this into the podcast as well, so I'll make sure that they get the links.
Okay, cool. Yeah, whatever is. I mean, AJ has a really good video talking about the differentiating base card, spectaculars, black card, hollow, and then that wild card, that no icon card. So that's a really good 7-minute graphic if you kind of just want to learn about the project to go into. But the main aspects of the black card are the airdrops. You can enter every raffle, and also you're able to choose one sports event every year that you want to attend. So right now, for any other VaynerSports pass card, you have to be chosen for the raffle, or you have to buy it secondary. For this one, you're given a budget based on the black card number you have, and that budget can be used toward an in real life game. It could also go toward like the hotels, the flights. So they're really focusing on like the sports experience, and they want you to kind of enjoy that and get that out of the black card.
Now, is there a reason why everyone wouldn't just want to go to the Super Bowl, for example?
Yeah, so you could, right? And they can definitely work that out. But I think everybody has different interests. Like some people might have wanted went to the U.S. Open, but it's also like the amount allocated is different. So the number one person is $4,000 per year, and this is at least for the next 3 years. After that's not guaranteed, but there is possible speculation that it could continue after that. Second place to fifth place is about $3,000. 6 to 10 is 2,500, and then there's a drop off. 11 to 30, 2,000 per year, 1,500 for 31 to 50, and then 1,000 for the last 20.
So I think this really gets to the point of why I've seen so much like positivity in the VSP community is everything here just feels so thought out and community centric. Like obviously IRL events are a utility that we've seen work for NFTs, and it just gets people fired up. It makes them feel like there's real value in these things that are very intangible. But to have this kind of like this scale of budget and things and how it applies between the 70 black cards just makes a lot of sense. It makes me feel like they're not overextending themselves, like they actually know how to run a business.
Yeah, so like you said, right, like they have treasury in USDC, but it's also the sports agency itself, right? Like that helps. They're generating revenue every day, every month, whatever the case is, right? And so that allows you to kind of fund sustain the project in a sense, right?
Yeah.
But it all like the really cool aspect on top of that is like you get a lot of benefits from going to the games versus buying tickets on like StubHub. So I was fortunate enough to go to a Blue Jays game, and the first thing was not everybody had this opportunity, and I was fortunate because somebody brought me along, but we were able to go on field for the batting practice, right? So that's something you can't necessarily buy. We got a suite, and then in the suite we had other VSP members that we're talking to.
Mm-hmm.
They had Alejandro Kirk signed baseballs. We met Alejandro Kirk on the batting field too. So it's just like some of these different avenues. I know there was an MMA event, and people had dinner with UFC fighters. They weren't fighting in that card, but just other clients because VaynerSports has a lot of UFC clients as well.
Yeah,
So
and for people, like that's a complete dream come true.
100%, right? Like imagine your favorite athlete or one of your favorite athletes that you kind of watch all the time, and you're like, I had dinner with him, right? And it's right, and it was just because you are associated with this project, you win it or you buy that event on secondary. It just adds to that element, and it's like something you're not going to forget. And then honestly, just like being there with people NFTs. Usually there's meetups like before or after some of the events. it just makes it like an even more fun experience, right? Because now you know people there, you have that memory. You have an NFT to signify that you got tickets, so it's almost like like a pro app in a
Yeah.
sense.
Let's talk about that, because it's what seems to me like a relatively simple execution, but it provides so much value to the holders, and something I'd love to see VeeFriends implement, which is when you win one of these raffles based on the icons on your VSP, you get airdropped essentially a ticket to the event that you've now won access to. So it becomes completely frictionless for you to trade or sell that on the blockchain, because you now have an NFT that signifies it. That's
Exactly.
basically it, right?
Yeah. So if you win it, you get an NFT. And then if you wanted to claim that, for example, you go to the VaynerSports Pass website and you can burn that NFT for your
Ah,
so like when you see burn, you still actually get an NFT that says like claimed on it. So that
yeah,
way nobody will buy it thinking that you didn't it's unclaimed tickets.
I like that. It also
Yeah,
provides history there,
it
right?
does exactly. Yeah, because then you can in like 5-10 years when you're going through your wallet because you're bored one day, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, I was at this baseball event or Blue Jays game or MMA event.
Wow. That makes me think of something very intimate about NFTs that doesn't get talked about a lot, is like what it feels like to look at your wallet. Because, like in the real world, smell is like famously the most memory triggering sense. But in the blockchain, in the NFT space, we have the visual mainly. Maybe your NFT has audio, but it's really going to be on the visual. Like just thinking like how differently it changes, of course, based on where the market is, if the value's up or down. But even like I imagine people scrolling through their wallet and seeing other side, and maybe they like, lost all that gas and they like are bitter about that. But you could see this ticket that says claimed on it and then trigger that memory where you got the baseball signed by the player that you love. That's what value looks like to me. And I think
Yeah.
we're like constantly having this conversation of like what is actual value for holders, and it's not one size fits all, in my opinion.
No, for sure. I think it's different for everybody, right? But like you said, the thoughtfulness of the project and the team, to me, like that's what makes me so bullish on them. It's like just the level of execution is one thing, but to execute at that level, considering so many different variables, it's just like, oh, like this is like, unreal to think of some of the things they do.
Let's talk about the team. I'm sure people want to hear the alpha on VaynerSports Pass. I'm not sure if you have any to share, but we can start with the crowned alpha caller of VaynerSports Pass, AJV, right? That's where all the alpha for VSP stems from, right? So
Definitely, yeah.
so you know, um, we don't need to blow smoke up AJ's ass, but like tell people a little bit about what he's like in the community. Because what I find is every time I go in the Discord, he's also there. He's constantly
100%.
in the
So
reply
so
comments and stuff.
yeah, so that's the thing. It's like a very Gary V like approach, and I'd say AJ his own approach in that, but it's like he's in the Discord talking every day. Like
Yeah.
in there saying GM, in there answering questions, in there just making comments, right? So that's one thing where it's like in other Discords I'm in, the founder isn't always in there, or they're doing other things, but it's like AJ always makes time unless there's something going on. He's in there a lot, right? So if you need his attention, it's there. But it's also the community that's formed around it, the people in there. Like it's a very fun time. Like at times you don't realize the bear market just based on like the people there, the conversations happening. So like that aspect of it, it kind of just like blows me away at times where it's like it's most like I spend most of my time in Discords in there because just the vibes for me. Um and yeah,
Mhm.
like it definitely takes time like to kind of get used to that and get into the community, but like everybody's so welcoming. Everybody's so friendly, everybody's so helpful. And that's
Yeah,
like
who else is in that like organizational side, the operational side? Like it's a good moment to just like throw flowers at people. Like
yeah,
who's
I mean,
stuff.
Cal and Teddy on the NFT side, um, they're doing an amazing kind of job, like holding down the Discord, but also like helping AJ execute the plan and really like make things smoothless in a sense or seamless. I
Hmm.
know the black card auction kind of the way it works is you have to burn you send your VSPs to a smart contract. If you're in the top 10, they get burned. If you don't make the top 10, they get sent back to you. Right. So just even that experience of putting your VSPs through, receiving it back after the auction's done.
Right.
You know, it just like some of the, just that experience makes it good, and it makes you confident and comfortable to, you know, actually bid your VSPs and not be afraid you're going to lose them. Right. Because we've seen, and no shade to other people, but you've seen some blenders happen, or things happen that, you know, lock up assets or whatever the case, right?
Yeah. It's if you mess up the code, there's no going back.
Yeah, right. So that's the you know, and then there's a lot of people like they have a lot of lawyers, because there's a lot of, you know, international and legal laws around sweepstakes and giving away prizes for certain amounts. So a lot of legal loophole like barriers they have to kind of go through. And I think, you know, AJ said this, and other people have said it too. It's like, this is more like a Web 2.5 kind of project, because they still have to, you know, be hand in hand with the law, figure, you know, do things on like on the correct basis, make sure everything's dotted, triple checked, right? So, and that's the thing, is like, one thing I like to think about too is like competition in the space. You know, I don't know other projects that could do this in terms of like, they have hundreds of athletes behind them already, right? And then the layer of AJ and community building, and even in the past, I'm going to butcher the exact backstory, but in the past, I know AJ used to do community building, kind of as VaynerMedia was starting up, and maybe even before. And so that's why he's that's why he's in the Discord, because he knows like community starts from the Discord, starts from, you know, inside like the ground up phase, and then that just branches out, right? So he's very that's why he's there a lot, but he's very, you know, adamant and focused on community and making sure it's a good experience for people, and like you're having a good time, right? Because ultimately you're not always gonna win a raffle or go to a sports event, right? But to be able to talk to people that are good people or share similar interests, I think that's very valuable, right? Like I know for V Friends, I would go in there and kind of get that. At times it get too crazy for me. So kind of just jump out here and there. But there's a lot of good people in V Friends land. That's one reason I like that Discord too.
Well, yeah, and when you're not in the euphoria and the gold rush, the relationships really prove themselves to be more valuable than the assets. You know, they might not change your life overnight with a flip, but they can change your life over years and decades.
Yeah, like the people you meet there are just unbelievable, kind of what they've accomplished and what they've done. And it's like the cool thing about this whole black card event is that right now we're in a bear market. There's not really that many people around compared to how it was before.
Absolutely.
But it's like people are burning 130 VSPs, 100. Like, you know, that was the first place, but people are still burning hundreds, you know, over 100. Even last week we had
1,000, right?
Sorry, so
the first place broke 1,000.
That's 1,000 points.
100 VSPs. 1,000.
Yeah, 100 VSPs, right. 100 points. Right. Last week's auction, I think 573 total. 500, 600 VSPs were burned in total. Right. So it's like supplies dropped almost by 1,500, almost 10% in the first 2 weeks. We still have, you know, a few more weeks to go. I think 8 weeks of this maybe. So a few more weeks to go of this, and it's like, or sorry, up to 70. So 6 weeks. The last 10 are held off. But it's like you were a third way there, and it just goes to show that people, they see the value in this. And like one thing AJ's been saying a lot is like, you know, projects, and you see it in V Friends too, and other projects, like they have differentiation. So like you always have like the top of the top, right? That could be your hollow, your wild cards, your black cards. You have the middle tier spectaculars. Then you always have your bottom tiers, your bases, right? So this project, it kind of highlights that a little more, where it's like, you know, you can kind of clearly tell the differentiations. But at the same time, like, you know, by no means you're not like, you're still a valid community member. It just affects, you know, your odds, right? So if you're a really hardcore sports fan, you might want to go for some of like the middle to upper tier ones if you wanted better chances in raffles, right? So it just kind of I think some of the action we've been seeing in the black card the last 2 weeks, it goes to show people are still around, people are paying attention, people want to be a part of the black card, and they're not just, you know, it's not just like a fake community or fake promises happening.
Yeah. I love that. So let's circle back on some of the practical stuff
Yeah.
here at the end. So if you haven't checked out VaynerSports Pass, if you want to, the Twitter is VS Pass, and you can get to the Discord, the website, and everything you need from there. They actually just posted this great video just today about the black card and explaining that the supply will decrease, that the existing BSPs will be burned for the limit of these 70 black cards. They have the auctions on their raffle site, which is something that they developed for this. A little bit about the raffles we've seen so far and the point structure and the benefits between regular passes versus blank versus hollow versus black card and the rest. When is the next black card auction?
So it's today. So it'll be
Okay, great.
yeah,
Good timing.
Tuesday at 9 p.m.
Got it.
That's when.
Is that consistent, or do they schedule them as they go?
So it's always Tuesday to Thursday, but the times will change just to be
Okay.
mindful of different time zones.
Oh, that's nice. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tap into the Twitter if you want this. I mean, if you're totally out of VSP at this moment and you check out this black card, please do your own research, understand the risks, and you're like, I want this, you're probably gonna have to drop 10 ETH roughly to be competitive. But we don't know what the competition will look like, which is like part of the fun. Like, I was in the Twitter spaces for the last one, and it was so exciting to hear like people buying VSPs and adding them to the pool and extending the thing, and like AJ and all the guys up there like talking about the jockey between 1 and 2 and like the different levels of competition. So even just the auction, for those who can't participate, it feels like a community event. It is a community event.
100%. Yeah, like the Twitter spaces are really fun. So there's going to be another Twitter space or kind of YouTube broadcast Thursday at 9 p.m. or 8:30, 9 p.m. Eastern. And that's when, what happens is it's supposed to end at 9 p.m., but if bids come in the last 5 minutes, it extends the timer back up to 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And so last 2 weeks, people have been going back and forth, extend that timer for close to an hour. And it's just been crazy action, seeing that live, seeing how it goes down. So definitely, if you have time, check that out. And one thing I'll add, I guess this is the alpha I could give for today, is even if you can't, even if you can't make it to if you can't win the black card, if you throw in your bid, AJ has said in the Discord, participation matters. So I don't know what that means in terms of like if you might be raffled to win a VSP or some other NFT, right? Don't exactly know what it means, but he stated several times participation matters. And I'll say you should do it near the beginning, because once the first 10 bids are up there, your bid has to beat, the 10th lowest bid. So if you do it right when it goes live, you can probably just put 1 or 2 VSPs, and you'll get participation marks or participation. Of course, it costs gas, and you will only receive those VSPs after the auction ends on Thursday. So that's just something to keep in mind if you want to try to sell it or access the Discord, the holders channel. But because I know the first week I YOLO'd my full stack in. I don't have a big stack, but I threw everything in there just to get up on the board. And I lost access to Discord. The admins Teddy helped me out. So you can definitely regain your status back. But it was just a little YOLO moment for me.
That's awesome. This has been super informative. But before we close, I kind of want to circle back to you and talk about your blog, because I don't actually know if the VSP team asked you to start writing the blog, or if you just started writing the blog and then, because it seems that VSP has like adopted it internally. Are you working with them, or is it just like a community project collaboration thing?
Yeah. So now I freelance for them, and I'll write articles every week. But aside from that, I don't do anything else with the team.
And they hired you for that because you were already doing this.
Yeah, so it's kind of crazy because I, coming from VFriends land, and Gary always says, see what I do, not what I say, kind of thing. They put out VFriends articles, and it's great because I, unfortunately, I'm not too tapped into VFriends like Jeremy is here, and that's why I'll go to a lot of his spaces. But I was like VaynerSports Pass has a lot going on. Like, this is crazy. Like, I spend a lot of time in Discord, probably more than I should realistically. And it's like, okay, if you don't have enough time, what do you do? And so I was just like, let me put this out there to help people out, because I would find it valuable for myself, just to kind of gather the thoughts for the week, and maybe to help another person that probably working, probably doing something else and can't spend their time in the Discord. So I just started doing it for the first, I think, 2-3 weeks. And this was after NFT NYC, after kind of met a lot of the people. We're at the event there. It was a great time. I was like, I just wanted to contribute more to Web3 space. I was like, I need to do something, because at this point I was like, okay, I'm convinced Web3 is the future. I want to be here, but I was applying for jobs. Nobody's hiring me. Like, what experience do I have? Realistically, I was like some Discord setups, some Discord mods, but I didn't have much more than that. And then I was like, you know what? I've seen some of these other projects, how they've become successful, and in a sense, it's like similar. It's like, it's always community, right? But it's like community in what aspect? It can be in Discord, it can be on Twitter Spaces, it can be, just sharing alpha, or sharing, something Gary said in the Discord, right? So I was like, if I can just provide value, then, I had no expectations going into it. Kind of writing it, I just,
the most important piece of it.
Yeah, I just did it to do it, and then I was fortunate enough that the team kind of recognized that value, and they're like, they want me to keep doing it. And I'll even say, for anybody kind of watching this, is like, I don't consider myself a good writer. If you like go to my very first like article, I like went to Microsoft Word and like put together some graphics, because I was just like, like, why, like, let me just try something. I wasn't doing, anything else really with my time. I've been just spending my time on Twitter. So it just started off with like, let me try to do something and help. And then they recognized that, which was cool. And then now I'll do Twitter Spaces, community Twitter Spaces, just to talk to people. And then I help people as much as I can. Just like the Gary V, model, give value first.
Give without expectation.
Yeah.
Show up every day, stay consistent, and then get better. Like, nobody's first blog article is their best blog article.
Yeah.
Unless
100%, right. And like, you got to start somewhere. I think that's the biggest thing too, is like, and I'm sure you can even probably touch on this too. It's just like, you just start and you get better. You make improvements, you get feedback, you kind of analyze what you think you did right and what you did wrong, and just go from there, right? And like, don't be too hard on yourself. Like, I think sometimes perfection and like trying to be perfect and like get a lot of views or a lot of attention can be like something you want to strive for, but it should just be like, oh, did I write a better article than last week? Or did I put out, better content than I did last week, right?
Right.
So it just comes down to yourself.
It's honestly an inspiring story. And I use that word intentionally because, like, I think, like, I have a background as an actor and a writer, director in theater. And so much of our life as humans is like watching other people's stories. We consume TikTok now, movies, theater, and all the rest. And like, it's easy to put other people on, like, to give them that power to inspire or do really grand things. But like, more and more, the simple things that people do are like becoming, to me, the most powerful. It's less impressive to me, like, maybe what you orchestrate and like curate over a long period of time than what you just sort of are inclined to do on a daily basis, especially when it relates to how you interact with people and what you're giving.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really like eloquent way to put it, right? And it's like, keep it, simple and stupid, right? Where it's like, you don't need to do too much, but it's just what's, like you said, what's on a daily basis, what'll be impactful, what can you do that other people aren't necessarily doing, and like, what are your strengths too, right? Like, I think at times it can be hard to like try something new, but like that generally leads to really good places where you like learn about yourself, you learn more skills, and then it kind of just brings down different avenues. And like, yeah, and I think there's like people on Twitter, like one person on Twitter, NFT God, who has really good daily threads, newsletters. But like, a thing he talks about a lot is just like consistency and showing up. And so it's like if you can just focus on being consistent, even if you have like quote unquote shit content, which I don't think you do. I mean, like whoever's kind of listening does,
Yeah.
but it's like if you just show up every day and you constantly just try to get better, like it will happen.
You will.
Like it will happen. Like you're just like on the success, ladder. Just
Yeah.
show up every day. And like I think that was like a cheat code for me where it's like, okay, let me not overcomplicate this. Keep it, simple and stupid, and just start writing. At times I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna write, just start writing somewhere, right? So yeah, it's kind of just like anybody can do this. And you could, like people say it a lot, it's like you're like, the leader, or you choose your own life or your own destiny and path. And it kind of is like that. It's like I'm not gonna take no for an answer anymore. Like I was honestly getting tired at a point, like applying for jobs and then people like rejecting me, and I'm like, okay, this clearly isn't working. I need to do something else. So I was like, let me just and that's the beauty of like Web3 and decentralization is like um it's all in your hands, right? Like nobody can stop you. Like you can, and then even you have CCO stuff, but no one can stop you from doing what you want. If you do something in a good light with good intentions and it brings value to people, like who's going to say no? Right? Because you're just adding on to it.
I love that. So if you're listening to this, heed the call. I love that metaphor. You're the writer of your own life. So pick up the pen.
Beautiful.
We have a VSP question here to wrap up. This will be perfect. And what maybe you can actually make a prediction here if you're up for it. How many VSP points do you think we need to get to realistically contest for any black card? They said any black card, but we're talking about the auction today.
Okay.
For
so
21 through 30.
Yeah.
Where do you think 21 falls, and where do you think 30 falls?
So I'll even try to. So yeah, for 21 to 30, and I'll say this based on last week's auction. So I'll just. So let me do one thing. So the first week, the upper end was about 1,039 points. That's for number 1, and number 10 was close to 500. I think like 508 or something. And then so auction 2 kicks off, and this is for cards 11 to 20. So number 11 went for 542, which is more than 10, 9, and 8 from the previous week. And the lowest part was close to 353. So I think
like 100, 200 spread. 150.
Spread. Yeah, about just under 200 spread from 542 to 353. And so I think this week it'll probably go over the 350 range, maybe 350, like 300, 375. I could see it. Or 350 to 375. I can see it for sure. And then the lower end, that's a little tough. I wasn't the best 227, but yeah, I would say like 250. I think 250 is a solid number. It can get there. So I'll also add that if you pop, so Tim F, who a lot of people know from Book Games, he has an amazing tableau for Book Games.
Right.
He also is in the VSP community, very, very involved. He's also made a tableau and some other kind of cool things for VSP, for the black card auction. And so you can see what, like, how the different wallets, how many points they're holding, how many cards they're holding.
Oh, so you can actually know what's competitive. You can't know what people are going to bid, but you can check out what's competitive.
Yeah. So if you shoot me a DM or hop in the VSP Discord, you look for Tim F. You'll see it in his like description.
I believe it's in the same tableau, right? So if you know Tim's tableau from Book Games, you'll be able to find VSP as well.
Yeah. But if you need help, just shoot me a message or DM me on Twitter. Happy to help out there too.
Yeah, that's always the move. If you ever need help, reach out. There's a lot of helpful people around.
Yeah, and just to just keep asking questions, kind of like bridging back to what we were saying earlier about being like, you are the writer of your own life, is like, if you keep asking questions, like good things just keep happening. So just keep on that pathway. People will help you. People will help you. Or maybe
Josh, a really fun and kind of poetic thing just happened. where your signal went totally rare robot, like we lost what you actually said, but all we heard was, and good things will happen. And it's kind of poetic because that's kind of life itself in a way. It's like nobody can tell you exactly what's going to happen day in and day out. Like there's not a one size fits all. There's not a script to life, but if you, this is an optimistic view of life, but I choose it. It's like if you're navigating as a kind person with good intentions and you're trying to align with what turns you on that also provides value to people around you, then good things will happen.
Beautifully said.
Yeah, I'm glad you're back for the close.
Yeah.
So I want people to know you're NFT Lover Boy on Twitter.
Yeah.
Is there anything else? Like, do you want to plug any social or like shout out anything else before we close out?
I'll just say on Medium, NFT Loverboy 2, if you want to check out the VaynerSports Past weekly
Great.
recaps every week. So just putting those out just to keep everybody updated and informed of what's going on. But other than that, yeah, just kind of catch me on Twitter for the most part. That's where I kind of live. On Discord too, here and there. But yeah, just looking forward to, helping anybody out through this. Appreciate you, Jeremy, for bringing me on. Happy to talk VSP and even a little bit life with you. So
Yeah,
always good talks.
the gratitude goes both ways, my friend. It was honestly, it was a long time overdue to get into the VSP ecosystem, and so I think a lot of people are going to enjoy this one. And thanks for taking the time.
My pleasure.
All right, I'm gonna say goodbye to everybody. Thanks for watching. Enjoy. Hope you enjoyed the replay. This is your regularly scheduled reminder to enjoy your life, stay hydrated, stretch, shake your ass, feel good about it. You have one shot. Go ahead and take it. This has been VaynerSports Pass, Black Card Auction Breakdown, and so much more with NFT Loverboy on Jeremy Knows. I'm the Hard Trooper number 7.